Well, they finally added new ships to the C store, so let's go ahead and take a look at them. We got the new blog here, and this is on the new updated version of the website, which is pretty snazzy. It's been out for a while, but like most of you, I'm still using the old site. Although with this new blog post, they don't really give you the option. It kind of has the basic page, but if you want to see the pages on the individual ships, you have to use the new site. So we're just going to do the whole thing in the new site. Okay, all right, got it, let's go. The Federation Responder Bundle brings 3 new Federation ships to the Zen store. Fast, capable vessels, blah, blah, blah. July 21st is when it comes out on PC. Console at a later date, that's next Thursday. What does it include? It includes the Bozeman Intel Heavy Frigate, the Cabot Command Light Escort, and the Noble Miracle Worker Research Science Vessel, along with a Tier 6 ship coupon, 6 ship slots, 6 experimental upgrade tokens, and 3 fleet ship modules because they do have fleet versions, so this will allow you to get the fleet upgrades. Also exclusive to the bundle, it's 12,000 Zen, but it'll be on sale for 9,000. You get the Mirror Universe skin variants for the ships. You only get that with the bundle. They are available individually, and of course the fleet ones you can just get with fleet ship modules if you don't want to get them from the C store. Exclusive to the bundle also is the First Responder title, which I think we all know is the real reason that you buy these things, is for the titles. Now, what do I think about this? Well, before we look into the pages on the individual ships and talk about the stats, they just keep recycling the old ships and coming out with new variants. Now, it's not completely fair. The Olympic here, Tier 6 Olympic, is kind of new to the Tier 6 world. We haven't seen a Tier 6 Olympic yet, but the Shran variant they have here barely looks different than the regular Shran. And for the love of God, why are we getting another Miranda? How many of these things do we really need? It's kind of ridiculous. We're not really getting new designs, and other than the Olympic, which is also an old design, just getting a Tier 6 version, it just doesn't feel new. It just feels like they're recycling the old models, making a couple of tweaks, and then trying to sell us new ship stats with it. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at the stats. The Noble Miracle Worker Research Science Vessel, which is supposedly the longest ship name in the game now. If you are not familiar with the Olympic, which this is based off of, it's the ship that looks like a Hitachi wand. So yeah, if you wanted to fly a Hitachi wand, there you go. All right, what do we have in terms of the stats? 3-3 weapon layout. It is a science vessel, 1 lieutenant tactical miracle worker, 1 lieutenant commander engineering, that's an oof, 1 engineering science, 1 commander science miracle worker, 1 lieutenant commander universal. I don't really get miracle worker on a science vessel. I don't think that's all that great. You'd only get 4 science console slots. You need to get the fleet version to get that 5th science console slot. Of course, it does have a console and a trait. The console gives you a saucer separation for the ship, although here it's called a sphere separation, and so the front part will detach and it'll give out some buffs to people who are nearby, and it'll give out restore increased shield resistance, and to foes who are nearby it'll drain shields and reduce their shield resistance. And of course it gives you the maneuverability buff debuff thing that the other saucer separation consoles give as well. The new trait, Trauma Response. Shield heals grant buffs to self based on target. Used on self, 5% shield healing and 5% max shield capacity. Used on an ally, 7.5% shield penetration, each lasting for 30 seconds and may stack up to 10 times. So you could hypothetically get up to, well, 75% shield penetration, which would be pretty good. But it's going to be pretty hard to get that many stacks unless you have teammates actively dumping shield heals on top of you. Maybe it's something that support builds will want to do. I'm not sure, but it is a little bit of a wonky trait. Shield pen could be good though. Now let's talk about the Bozeman Intel Heavy Frigate. And this is a frigate, so it is a commander engineering ship, but since it's full intel, it will be a Intel seat. Okay, Tier 6, 5-3 weapon layout. 1 Commander Engineering Intel, 1 Ensign Universal, 1 Lieutenant Universal Intel, 1 Lieutenant Commander Universal, and 1 Lieutenant Commander Universal. So we do get a lot of universal seating because it is a frigate. Intel is not a bad specialization anymore. It's not terrible seating on the ship. Everything else is a bit underwhelming though. The console Tachyon net drones makes a big grid sphere thing to trap enemies reminiscent of the Tholian ones, and to foes on the inside, they will have their damage resistance rating reduced. If they have a cloak, they'll be uncloaked, and then on critical hit, it applies some kinetic damage that ignores shields and knocks shields offline for a few seconds. I'm not sure this is really going to be all that useful, but it'll probably be spectacular looking since it does make a big old huge thing appear. The new trait is an active trait. This is the first time we've ever seen a starship trait with a clicky, and so that's kind of unique and opens up some new design space for them. When you click it, for 10 seconds, you become untargetable. You get plus 100% crit chance. You get a large bonus to flight speed and turn rate. The minimum recharge prevents reuse more than once every 40 seconds, and the base cooldown is 2 minutes. How do you reduce the cooldown? Well, it says activating Intel Bridge Officer ability or spending time cloaked or in dark mode will reduce the recharge time slightly. Still, even if you get it down to 40 seconds, that's still an uptime of only 25%. You're not going to want to take crit chance off of your ship in order for this to be more effective. So if you have a high crit chance normally, adding 100% really isn't going to do that much for you, especially with such a low uptime. We have plenty of other flight speed and turn rate buffs in the game, so that's not super amazing. People have talked about the untargetable for PvP. Maybe, I don't know, I don't care about PvP. I think this is a loser. I don't think this is a really good trait. The cooldown on it is just too long, and I think the crit chance is kind of a noob trap there. Okay, the fleet version will upgrade your console slots to give you the 5th engineering slot if that's something you care about. Let's look at the Cabot Command Light Escort. This is not a raider, even though the Shran did have raider flanking. This one does not. This is the laziest design by far. Just look at this thing. It looks almost exactly like the regular Shran with a few minor tweaks. It's crazy to me that they think they can get away with this. I don't care about the visuals that much, but if you're someone who does, I would be a little bit offended by this. They could put some more work in, especially when they're asking $30 for this, and you can get entire games for that much. Often less when you get them on sale. So I would have liked to have seen more work put into the design of this one. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stats. We have an Ensign Tactical, a Commander Tactical Command, a Lieutenant Commander Engineering, that's an OOF, a Lieutenant Science Command, and a Lieutenant Commander Universal. The Lieutenant Commander Engineering isn't the end of the world. The Dale Keena also has that, and it's a very good ship. This is good seating. Command is obviously a very good specialization. Maybe you don't want to tank with it because it doesn't have the stats for that otherwise, but it's a pretty powerful seating here. And if you want your 5th tactical console slot, just like with the other two, you're going to have to get the fleet version for that. It does only have a 4-3 weapon layout because it comes with an experimental weapon, but if you're doing torpedo stuff, 4 weapons in the front is fine. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. This is probably, by the way, the most performance-oriented ship of the bundle. So if you're looking for like the most powerful ship of the 3, and you're not going to get the whole bundle, this is probably the most powerful one. The Console Universal External Massive Munitions Hardpoint. And what does this do? It creates a massive quantum warhead which seeks target foe and detonates, dealing massive kinetic damage to it and all foes behind it in a cone. If 3 or more foes are hit by the same warhead, the owner gains increased kinetic damage for 20 seconds. We've seen other consoles like this before, like the Point Defense Bombardment Warhead, that are pretty decent, so I imagine this is going to be decent as well. It does say here that it gains bonuses from weapon training and projectile weapon skill rather than from exotic particle generator, so that's probably going to be pretty useful and in line with the kind of build you'd be using anyway. New Starship trait, Advanced Precision Guided Munitions. Activating a weapon firing mode will enhance the next torpedo weapon fired within 10 seconds, causing a sympathetic detonation within the hull of the targeted foe and dealing significant additional kinetic damage. If the weapon strikes a shield facing with under 15% strength, the extra damage is doubled. This ability has a 10-second recharge time, so it will activate on any firing mode. You don't have to be a torpedo firing mode, but it is hard capped at once per 10 seconds. Now, based on the screenshots I saw from the live stream, actually I did watch this live stream because I knew they were announcing these ships. It said 10,000 and then it was doubled to 20,000 if it met the condition of the 15%. And considering that's only once every 10 seconds, you do the math on that, that's going to be 1 or 2K. That's not really very good. Also, 15% shield strength or less in order for that to trigger is also not very good. Vaulting Ambition is a trait that looks really good on paper because it gives you a huge amount of crit severity, but because it only works on low health enemies, it just ends up not activating very often, and it ends up being a lot worse than you would expect, and I think this is going to be the same way. So I think this condition isn't going to be met very often. Most of the time you are not going to get that bonus damage, so it's going to be the lower damage option in most cases, and I just think with the 10-second lockout, it's probably nowhere near as good as it sounds. Okay, so now we look at the new experimental weapon, the Graviton Dissonance Fletchet Projector. So 2 targets of moderate kinetic damage, so it does kinetic damage. And if it strikes a shield facing under 15%, again, a condition I think is going to be very unlikely to happen most of the time. It will disable all shields for up to 15 seconds, max once per 30 seconds per foe. Now shields do regenerate, so if they're disabled for 15 seconds, that will stop them from regenerating. So it may have some use case there, although you may just want to use an experimental weapon that does more damage, assuming this is a mediocre performer, which most experimental weapons are, but we're going to have to wait and find out. If it does a lot of damage on top of this, then it's going to be a very good experimental weapon, but we just don't know yet. Okay, so that's it. Those are the 3 new ships. And I'm still undecided about whether or not I'm going to pick it up. I still have some Zen. It would basically clean me out. Let me know down in the comments. Are you excited for these ships? Are you going to get them? Do you want to see reviews on this ships? And the next video coming out, or the next review coming out, is going to be the Nidarian Defender. So stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed already, go ahead and click that button so you don't miss more of my videos in the future. Thank you for watching. Special thank you to all my channel members. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.